Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of ECISD Live. My name is Scott Muri, and I'm the superintendent of Ector County Independent School District, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to tonight's show. We have an exciting show tonight. In fact, we have lots of guests, so we're going to cycle through ECISD students, ECISD teachers, and parents, and central office administrators. So a lot of conversation tonight, all focused on space. The way that space is impacting our community today, our students, our teachers, our families, but also the way that ECISD is impacting space. While we are receiving a lot, we're also giving a lot to future technologies, and we're excited to share that with everyone this evening. But before we introduce our guests and dive into our topic tonight, I want to provide a few quick district updates. The first and probably most exciting is the fact that next week we are on vacation. Monday and Tuesday were originally scheduled to be COVID makeup days. We thought that we might be missing days of school up to this point, and we might need to make those days up. Well, it turns out, because our students and staff members have followed our safety procedures, that we haven't had to miss a single day of school due to COVID-19 thus far. And so next Monday and Tuesday are not COVID makeup days, they're actually vacation days. And so I wish all of our families and all of our educators a wonderful 5 days off next week. Enjoy the time with your family and refresh, rejuvenate, and then we'll see you back on Monday, November the 30th. Speaking of Monday, November 30th, as those of you that live in our community are well aware, the cases of COVID-19 are rising in Ector County, and in response to that, we have had to take some additional actions. So starting on Monday, November 30th, several things will be implemented due to the rise in COVID-19, some new safety procedures, just to make sure that we're continuing to keep our students and staff members safe. First of all, we will start a testing protocol for any staff member or any student, and the students will have to have parent permission that has symptoms during the school day of COVID-19. We will have an opportunity for a quick test to be done on those staff members and students. We look forward to introducing that again once the holiday break is over. We are working with state and federal officials to ensure that our educators, staff members in ECISD are among the first phase of citizens in the United States to receive the vaccine. We believe that educators are essential employees serving the children of our community, and we're lobbying right now to ensure that our educators are among the first in our nation to receive those vaccines so that they can continue to support our kids. Until further notice, parents, volunteers, consultants, any visitor to our campus, we are going to restrict any visitor to our campus. Again, parents, volunteers, and consultants, things like that. Whenever possible, we are limiting the access to campus, again, to keep our kids safe. All campus, starting on Monday, October 30th, all campus meetings will be held in a virtual format. Now, even though we may work in the same building, simply getting people together is something that we want to avoid. And so from this point forward, until further notice, all meetings will be held in a virtual format, and that is on all campuses and in all buildings in ECISD. Over the holiday break, we will be treating every facility in ECISD with Germ Blast. So we've hired a company to come in and deep clean and then provide an antiviral, antibacterial treatment to each of our buildings in ECISD. That actually starts tomorrow night and will continue throughout the holiday break. And again, every building will be treated over the holiday break to make sure they're safe for the return of our students. In addition, right now we have implemented the wearing of face masks and face shields anytime an adult is near students. And so starting on Monday, October 30th, we will be expanding the wearing of masks and face shields to all of our employees. We'll wear those at all times. Unless we are alone in our office or alone in our classroom, all employees will wear masks and face shields at all times. When we're engaging with either students or our colleagues, we'll always be wearing those additional layers of protection. We will be partnering with city officials, county officials, our hospitals, our Chamber of Commerce, and other educational organizations in our community to communicate effectively protocols to members of the community in which we live. It's important that we all have information, the information that is necessary to keep each of us safe, not only ourselves, but those around us. And we'll be coordinating our communication efforts with city, county officials, as well as our hospitals and other educational entities throughout the community, just to make sure that we're all receiving the same healthy messages that are important for each of us to receive at this time. And then finally, we've established some travel guidelines. Families, you may be aware of this already. Any family that is traveling to a destination that may be considered unsafe by either the state or the federal government, or a family that may have been exposed to COVID-19, we are reminding all of our families of the protocols that we have in place for exposure. In fact, tonight, parents are going to receive a voice message, a telephone call from the school district, not only reminding you about those exposure protocols, but also letting you know the printed information about that. So if any family over the holiday break is exposed to COVID-19, then we're asking that you follow that exposure protocol and quarantine yourself and your family for 14 days prior to returning to school. That's critically important. We want to make sure that we keep our kids safe. So again, families, make sure that you receive that phone call tonight. You'll also get an email about that, and follow that exposure protocol should any of you become exposed to COVID-19 over the holiday break, or you travel to a place that is considered unsafe. And finally tonight, the final announcement before we transition is about a survey that we're currently conducting. Starting today, we actually launched an internet survey. We would like to know what type of internet service, if indeed you have it, that each of our families have within their home. We conducted a survey in the spring, and we have one set of data, but we know that families have made some different decisions over the last several months, and we would like to know today, so that as we make decisions as an organization, as we work with our community to explore broadband possibilities, we're making decisions that are informed by data. So we ask all ECISD families to receive that survey and to take just a few minutes to fill it out, so that we can use that information to inform the decision-making processes that we have as a school district, but also that we have as a community. Thank you for taking the time to complete that survey. All right, speaking of broadband and connection and surveys, we recently, as many of you know, partnered with SpaceX so that we could bring a higher level of broadband access to some families in Ector County that currently have limited options for high-speed broadband. And our first guest tonight is going to talk to us a little bit about that. So Dr. Kelly Wilkes is the Chief Information Officer here in Ector County Independent School District. So Dr. Wilkes, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. It's nice to see you. So SpaceX, a lot of activity around the last several weeks revolving SpaceX and Starlink and this internet activity. Tell us, what is this? Maybe first start with the why. Why in the world would we want to partner with SpaceX? What do they bring to us that we need?
Well, we have a unique opportunity because we're in an industry-driven community. We have people that have been researching this potential technology to service the oil industry. And so they brought the technology to us. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to target 45 families with satellite internet. So there are over 12,000 satellites that SpaceX owns in orbit right now, and we'll be able to take advantage of some of those satellites to shoot a signal to 45 of our families in South Odessa.
Interesting. You said over 1,200 right now. It's funny, when Dr. Wilkes, when we started this project several months ago, they only had 400 in space, and now over 1,200 in space. And they launch 60 satellites on each rocket. So that tells us how many launches SpaceX has had over the last several months to make this possible. So bringing high-speed internet, what's the why? We know that some of our families need it. We'll start with 45 and expand that service to 135 families. But why is this important to families in ECISD?
So we've done some research on connectivity. It's not a unique problem to Ector County or Odessa. It's a problem that's nationwide. we found that there are some communities that have solved this problem and done a very good job connecting their community members. So one of our biggest challenges is connectivity in our rural areas. They lack reliable, affordable internet connectivity. And so SpaceX is that little niche that can provide broadband connectivity to a rural community.
Yep. And do it in a pretty unusual way. It's bringing space to West Texas. Pretty exciting. I think we have a few people to thank for this as well. You know, ECISD did not do this alone. We've learned that partnering with others is a wonderful way to solve problems. And tonight, you know, we thank the Permian Strategic Partnership for being a part of this journey with us. We thank Chiefs for Change for being a part of this project with us, and Grow Odessa. Grow Odessa has contributed to this project as well. So we find, you know, the city of Odessa, the business community of Odessa, the Permian Strategic Partnership, which really represents our region as a philanthropic organization, and then Chiefs for Change, a national organization. So local, regional, national, and then SpaceX, the world really coming to Ector County because of this partnership. So thank you, Dr. Wilkes, for joining us tonight. And thank you for the leadership that you have displayed to make this become a reality for kids in our system. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All righty. So SpaceX last weekend launched a rocket. Not only did they launch on Saturday, they launched a rocket that took 60 more satellites into space. But on Sunday, they launched a rocket that took 4 human beings into space. In fact, these individuals, these men and women, are currently aboard the International Space Station. And the International Space Station is something that is not new to Ector County. In fact, the students of Ector County and the teachers of Ector County have actually traveled to the International Space Station. Now, their physical bodies haven't been there, but some interesting pieces of work have been to the space station. And so tonight, we'd like to introduce and share with you and hear the stories from some of our students and staff members that have been engaged in some really unique work that has been on display and become a vital part of the International Space Station. So our next guest tonight, rather, is Clara Long. Clara is a student at Permian High School. And when Clara was a student at Bonham Middle School, she was involved in a pretty interesting project. So Clara, are you with us tonight? Hey, there she is. How are you doing? I think you may be muted, so let's. Oh, hey, there you go. That's probably somebody in the background. It's that mute bug that sometimes affects us. So first, thank you for joining us tonight. So tell us, you've had International Space Station experience. Talk about what happened. What's your story?
My teacher, Miss Cross,
Yes.
she wanted me to be a part of this competition, and she saw that what I'd done, and she wanted me to keep going and going. And I never really knew that I was actually going to have my patch to go somewhere that be beyond where it's supposed to be and all that.
So a patch, tell us about it. So you are an artist, correct? Yes, you are. And so when you were in middle school, you designed a patch. And so tell us a little bit about that design. What did it look like?
It looked like this.
Ah, there we go. So we have a live image of the patch. So you did that artwork yourself, and you had no idea what was going to happen. Is that correct?
I had no idea. Really, I was so surprised.
Yeah, no, good for you.
The only thing I remember is my mom telling me to look nice.
That's right. So you looked nice because it was a pretty big day.
Yes, it was. I was completely surprised when it happened.
So a competition. I think you all entered a competition, and we obviously you won that competition. So that patch, we're actually showing it on the screen right now. Your original drawing that was used to create that patch. And how did it get into space? What's the story there? Do you know?
Oh goodness.
Did it travel? Who did it travel with?
It traveled with all different other patches from different places, from the U.S. to Brazil and like Canada, and other projects as well, like research, like how algae grows and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So there were actually, other students really from around the world were a part of this. But you were the one that represented Ector County Independent School District, and a group of astronauts took your patch into space. And you didn't get to travel into space, but I think you did get to travel somewhere pretty interesting. Where did you get to go?
I actually got to go to Washington, D.C., and that place is beautiful, I would say.
Yeah. So you got to travel to Washington. What happened in Washington? What happened to you when you were there?
We got to actually see the launch there, and we got to see all the Smithsonian's and how everything looks.
Yeah. In fact, we got a picture. That's pretty cool. So you and your peers, kind of other patch makers, if you will, from around the world, got to have some pretty cool experiences. Did you meet some neat folks?
Yep. They were all very wonderful people.
Good. Oh, that's exciting. Good for you. Good for you. All righty. Still taking art classes at Permian? Are you? Yeah.
I'm a complete art freak.
there you go. So maybe this is a career opportunity for you?
Yes, it is.
So maybe you'll even design a few more of those NASA patches in the future.
You never know.
There you go. That's exactly right. Hey, Clara, thank you for joining us tonight. And congratulations. That's pretty exciting. Not many people can say that they've been to space, but you can claim it. So claim it. Good for you. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, we're next joined by our Chief Innovation Officer, Jason Osborne. So Jason, you are the person that kind of helped bring this idea and this concept to ECISD. So Jason, why don't you join us, if you will, and tell us a little bit about the journey. There you go. So how did this come to be in Ector County?
It's a really good question. It was a off-the-cuff conversation with one of our board members. That's what it started with. And I was talking with Nelson Minyard, and Nelson Minyard said something about this competition that was going on. So I dug into it, and lo and behold, it was a friend of mine, Jeff Goldstein. We met each other in Washington, D.C. many years ago. And so I reached out to Jeff and asked him a little bit about what does this entail and how can we be a part of it as a district. So he shared some of that information. We were a little bit behind the curve to get started because they've already started this global competition. And so anyhow, we put in a proposal. So this is a long, drawn out proposal for the district to submit to see if you get accepted. Once that's accepted, and then it's a matter of students putting together scientific protocols to put a science experiment to space. And every single space mission has a patch that goes with it. So every time a rocket flies, or like the shuttle missions when they used to fly, they always have a patch that goes with it. So that was an opportunity for students with an artistic ability to submit their art to fly to the International Space Station.
And we took advantage of it. How many kids were involved in that original? I know Clara, her patch was selected, but how many kids were involved?
Well, we had multiple campuses, so we pushed this out throughout the whole district. So anyone in the district could be a part of it, and we had several hundred students that put these proposals together, and I think we had well over 1,000 submissions for the patch designs.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Elementary and high secondary campuses.
Yeah,
so we have elementary campus submission, and then a winner that went up in the space station, as well as high school entries.
Yeah, on the screen now we're showing some of those prior winners, so that's kind of neat. Good. Hey Jason, we're going to talk to you about a couple more things in a few minutes, but thanks for being here tonight, and thanks for bringing opportunities like that to students in ECISD. Pretty cool when you can say that you've touched space, you've been to space, you've been a part of something like this. So
definitely changing for sure.
Absolutely. Good for those kids. All right. So speaking of space, not only have ECISD students been involved in designing patches that astronauts took to space and wore in space, but we also have students that have been a part of some interesting experiments that have traveled to space. And our next guest is going to tell us a little bit about an experiment that she and her peers designed while at Nimitz Middle School. So Miriam is an 8th grader right now at Nimitz. Miriam is going to join us. She was a part of a team of folks that put together a pretty unique experiment. And so Miriam, are you, there you are. Hey Miriam, you know, I would actually like to tell everybody the name of your experiment, but there are words in here that even the superintendent doesn't know. So can you tell us a little bit about your experiment that actually traveled into outer space?
Well, our experiment first started out with the thought of radiation in space and how that radiation can cause astronauts get cancer.
Yes.
And we thought of a way, what if they did, and how could we cure that? So our experiment was a Type 3 FME mini lab, and it was an experiment about the bacteria named Clostridium sporogenes. Clostridium sporogenes is a bacteria that can get rid of cancer cells once it makes contact with them. And what our project was going to do is that once we have our tube, it would be divided into 3 sections, and the first clamp, which would be named Clamp A, would be released after 48 hours of being in space. Section 1 of the tube would have Group A of Clostridium sporogenes. Section 2 would have a formula called formaldehyde, and Section 3 would have a Group B of Clostridium sporogenes. So after Clamp A would be released after 48 hours in space, that would freeze the process of the growth. And for Group B would keep on growing, and we wouldn't stop.
Miriam, did someone conduct these experiments in space for you, or what did that look like, or do you know?
No, I don't know.
Don't know that? What about results? Did you, in the process, did you and your team learn anything from this, or did you receive any results? We have a picture of your teammates on the screen now. So what did you all learn?
Well, we all learned about bacteria and the stages of the bacteria. It was quite the ride, and what we learned is that we did the experiment here on Earth and in space, and we found out that it was better on Earth than in space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, so fascinating. What did you think about the whole experience?
Oh, it was quite the wonderful ride. I will never forget such an amazing experience like I did. I can't hear you.
I think I muted myself. Sorry about that. Said you didn't actually go to space, did you?
No, I didn't.
That's the next time. That's the next experiment, maybe. So right now, SpaceX is launching a new set of astronauts. So maybe that's your opportunity is to take those experiments into space.
Yes.
Hey, good stuff, Miriam. It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for the incredible work. That's exciting. Not many kids can say that they were a part of a team of people that launched an experiment into space, but you can say that. So claim it and own it. Nice job. Nice job.
Thank you.
All right. To help Miriam in this process, we're now joined by a teacher that was at Nimitz Middle School. Courtney Smith is a former Nimitz Middle School teacher and was a part of these experiments with our students. And I'd love to bring Courtney in right now to hear a little bit about your perspective. So first, Courtney, thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for the work that you do with kids.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us, what was your role in this, and what was the experience like for you?
Oh, it was an amazing experience to get to see the kids go from an idea all the way to a scientific proposal to the experiment and then they analyzed the results, and they worked with professionals at Texas Tech Health Science Center. And so it was just an amazing experience to get to see them do the scientific process from start to finish.
Yeah.
And my role was basically just a facilitator. Priscilla Torres and I were working together with these students who are incredible young people. Yep. And we just basically gave them milestones and told them what they needed to do. And the students did the work. They worked with the scientists, and they wrote the paper, and they made modifications where they needed to make modifications. And they were just amazing as they worked through this whole process.
Yeah, yeah. So talk about how did this come to Nimitz? What did that look like? Was this your idea, or how was it presented to the school?
I came in late. So I started at ECISD, and I went to the Summer Teacher Institute, and I went to the class about the SSEP.
Yes.
And Priscilla Torres was the facilitator for Nimitz. And so I went to her and I said, can I please help with this? Can I please be a part of this? And thankfully she let me, and it was just an amazing experience.
That's great. So, Courtney, we're watching a video right now of the students working with a scientist. Was that a teacher at Nimitz, or is that a Texas Tech professor?
That was Derek Fleming from Texas Tech. So we actually traveled to Lubbock, and he helped us to load that FME tube with the bacteria and all the other materials for the experiment.
Cool. Yeah. Powerful experience for our students, to put all of that together. To think about what you do in the classroom really as a teacher to begin to create this, and then the partnership with Texas Tech, and then ultimately the partnership with NASA to launch this into space. Pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And something about a publication. I understand there's a publication happening or in the works right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So we've been working, like I said, with Dr. Natalia from Texas Tech Health Sciences Center, and she has been helping us. And so last fall, we analyzed all the results. And then last spring, before the shutdowns, we were working on writing this paper for a publication. And so hopefully that's going to happen soon, that we'll get that publication out and be able to communicate these results to the world.
No, that's exciting. Congratulations on that body of work. That is truly from, start to finish. When you publish and present, that is the final product. And so kudos to you for bringing and enabling those opportunities for our students. I noticed above your left shoulder, there's a space shuttle sitting on the shelf. So is space of interest to you as a teacher?
It is. I've always enjoyed learning about space, and this opportunity was really eye-opening in how experiments are done and that whole process of doing the science in space. So I think it was almost as exciting for me as it was for the students to get to be a part of this.
Good. Well, it's the magic happens when you have a great teacher and a great idea like that. So thank you for creating and facilitating that type of opportunity for our students. I think you can tell that experience has impacted them for life. And that's because of you. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So not only did this experience affect students in ECISD and affect teachers in ECISD, but it also affected parents in ECISD. And so tonight we are joined by a couple of parents who not only are parents of kids that were involved in this, but also they are ECISD teachers. So Vanessa and Tim Brower are joining us tonight. So hey, Vanessa and Tim, there you are. Thank you. You did make it. Thank you both for being here tonight. So you had kids, or actually a daughter, that was a part of this. From your perspective as a parent, tell us about what this experience was like for you and your daughter. What did you see?
It was really amazing. We were shocked, shocked to death that her team was chosen, because they were some of the youngest kids in the competition, and they happened to win, and we were just thrilled for her. It's an amazing thing. It's really transformed her as a student. We feel like she's grown as a result of the research that she's done.
I think I was
great.
skeptical at the beginning, because she says, "Oh, we're going to do this experiment, and it's going to get sent to the International space station, and we go to Washington. And I thought,
Yeah.
what? That's wonderful. Let's do it. But
Sure.
the pragmatist of I thought, well, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. And now there's a picture of it. It did.
They're standing underneath one of the former space shuttles in that picture. And I believe there's an astronaut that came and spoke with them and signed their goodies that they brought at the gift shop. So that was fun.
It was
amazing.
Just an amazing experience from the beginning. Mrs. Torres and Mrs. Smith were wonderful facilitators, and were actually wonderful until we got back to the airport. I mean, they took up the charge and took our kids over, and Vanessa and I were able to experience Washington, D.C. with because she was with Miss Torres and Miss Smith and the other SSCP kids.
That's great. Did that opportunity shape your daughter in any way? What evidence do you have that it made a difference?
Decided that she would like to work for NASA or SpaceX. She can't decide.
Interesting.
Also decided that she wants to look at MIT for a college. So
Is that interesting?
Excited and hoping to find a scholarship for that.
Absolutely. Does she attribute her experience with this to these kind of choices that she's making right now?
I believe so.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Like I said, it's been a wonderful experience, and I knew, Miss Smith reminded us about the publication, but Eva turned 12 the day after she presented at the Smithsonian, and at 12, I was not presenting anything. So that's really quite an accomplishment for a 11 and 12-year-old children.
Well, just think about the sentence that you just said. My daughter presented at the Smithsonian when she was 12 years old. Think about that sentence. That says a lot about opportunities and experiences for kids. So, wow, impressive. Congratulations. You have a pretty impressive young woman on your hands, and she will probably have her choice between NASA or SpaceX. They might actually fight over her to figure out who gets to employ her. But congratulations on her success, and we wish her well in the future. And thank you for engaging with us tonight. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All righty. The journey is not over. Space continues to impact ECISD. In fact, that segment, that is not the only time that ECISD has had students involved in space. Prior to these experiments traveling into space, we had our students had other experiments that were in space. And so tonight we would like to invite Liz Gray. Liz is a teacher at OCA, and she worked with a group of students that were conducting some experiments and traveled into space. So there you are. Hey, Liz, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm nervous.
Oh, no, you're good. So this is exciting. When you think about our students having opportunities in space and just the impact that they're having, we've heard some really great stories tonight, but this is yet another one. In fact, your story was a precursor to what we've already heard this evening. So tell us about it. What happened?
Well, I was the PIC Education Ambassador for OCA, Falcon at the time.
Okay.
So I presented the SSCP opportunity to our students and our group. We named ourselves, or they named us, Atlas 13.
Okay.
They submitted 4 proposals, and it was already iterated, but I'm going to reiterate.
Sure.
The students did it all. They wrote the proposal. They came up with their own ideas. I was strictly a facilitator. So I came up with 4 proposals, and our team actually won all 3 of the finalist spots for ECISD.
Wow.
So we definitely had one go to space.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What do you teach, Liz?
Right now, I am not at OCA anymore. I was teaching AVID for 4 years, but now I am the post-secondary education coordinator at the district school.
Got it. So you were so avid teacher at the time. So you weren't the teacher of astrophysics. You weren't the science teacher. You were the avid teacher at the time. How did your involvement happen in all of this?
Well, I was already involved with. Oh, there's my kiddos.
Yeah,
I was already involved with PIC education, and space has honestly been one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Yep.
But, you know, life happened, so I took an easy route with my bachelor's, so I didn't pursue anything space related. But going through this and kind of seeing my kids and how excited they were and working on the projects and everything, it just kind of reignited my love for it. And I'm actually going back to school to get my second bachelor's in aerospace engineering.
Are you doing that right now?
Yes.
You are one busy lady.
Yes, sir.
So did this experience kind of move you in that direction?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Like I said, it just reignited my love for space. And I always wanted to work for NASA. And, you know, I took the easy way out in college, but I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm just going back.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good for you. Congratulations on that opportunity. That's exciting. So what do you want to do with that degree?
I hope to work with anything in way of working with rocket ships. I just want to help get the rocket ships into space.
That's interesting. You know, that's as we think about, you know, the SpaceX opportunity, you know, right now it's SpaceX bringing, you know, satellite internet technology to our community, but the opportunities, you know, are limitless when we think about space. In fact, it was kind of interesting. We signed a contract with SpaceX in order to do this work with them. And one clause in the contract talks about Mars, and some legal agreements we had to have with them about work on Mars. I just found that fascinating, you know, how forward thinking, you know, they know that at some point they're going to set up environments on Mars. And we're still, you know, trying to get off the ground here. So I think it's fascinating. So you may have some really unique opportunities with either NASA or SpaceX to do some pretty cool work. And I think one of your students, talk about that for a minute. One of your students is also on this same track.
Yes. So Deidre, she wrote the winning proposal. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. She can do it way better. But it has to do with a bacteria that can degrade plastic. So this experience propelled her into things that she never thought could ever imagine. She got invited, and I got to go with her to go speak at the International Space Station Research and Development like national seminar last summer. And then just recently, a few weeks ago, she was interviewed by NASA because SSEP said that she would represent them for NASA.
Wow. Impressive. Yeah. And those are ECISD students. So, you know, I did, just as a teacher, you know, think about what you have created and the opportunities for those kids. You know, that was more than just an experiment that went into space. You know, for some of those kids, you launched literally a lifelong journey for them. And it sounds like you did the same thing for yourself too. So, hey, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us tonight. That great story. That's a great story.
Thank you.
All right. As we transition, the space opportunities are not finished. I'm going to bring back right now Jason Osborne. Jason, again, is the Chief Innovation Officer for ECISD. And Jason, we have discovered something recently in our district. I guess something that has been here for a while, but for some reason, maybe we just misplaced it or forgot that it existed. But I believe we are getting ready to launch a new opportunity. Tell us a little bit about what we found and what we're thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And what an exciting discovery or rediscovery. So there's we had an email communication, and you know, one of the staff members over at Odessa High School said, "Hey, by the way, we have this observatory in our campus." And so I was like, "What?" I couldn't believe that this thing was here. And my team, we were all excited and said, hey, can we come over and check this out? So we did, and lo and behold, we go up this staircase, and there's this remote access, and the roof opens up, and then there's these two magnificent telescopes just sitting there, and we're just blown away. So right away our minds are spinning, and it's like, how can we get this back in action? The telescopes, you can obviously see that they weren't used for quite a few years. So
in fact, that cantilever may not have been open for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did a blast out on social media to say, hey, does anybody know that we have this? And so we got an amazing response from community. So community reached out and wanted to help. Today we had a community member come out and evaluate. He's actually a local astronomer. He has this little observatory in his backyard here in Odessa. And so he was kind of helping us out a little bit what we would need to do to refurbish these things and get them back in action. And so we're excited. We have some big plans. We want to get this space opened up for kids again, and maybe some possible partnerships with McDonald Observatory and others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You think about, we'll have a chance to now see those satellites that are broadcasting internet service to our families.
How good would that be?
But really a cool opportunity for students. I'd love to know the history. Clearly those telescopes have been on the roof of Odessa High School for quite some time. And I'd love to know the history. So kudos to the visionaries that created that opportunity for kids. And I'm sure for many years, those were well used by our students. In fact, people in our community probably have some pretty great memories of those. And I'm sure, those during the time launched some careers and possibilities for kids. So it's our chance right now to really recreate that opportunity for kids in ECISD. So what are the plans? What do you think could be there? There's clearly some interest right now. What might exist, Jason?
Yeah, so we're thinking we could have stargazing with community. The staff over at OHS are very interested in that and getting our kids some experience. And now that we have this resource, going up and utilizing the resource, but we're finding out that there's just so many people in our community that are into astronomy and astronomy clubs. So we can see partnering with them. We are looking at refurbishing the older telescopes, but then also looking at pitching out grants to buy a brand new one that's more state of the art. So that way kids can see the difference between older technology and newer technology. We anticipate maybe some citizen science projects where we can look at global questions and how our students can help answer global questions in partnerships with other research entities. So the sky's the limit, literally. And we have this resource. We have to take advantage of it.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll take advantage of it. And we have a lot of students. Again, we serve 34,000 of them. And while not every child may end up in space or have that interest, we know that we have, as evidenced by the students we've spoken with tonight and the teachers, there is a lot of interest and opportunity. Jason, one of the things that we talk about is we're preparing children to be globally competitive. And I think right now we may have to change that phrase because, our kids need to be competitive in outer space as well as here on Earth. And it's up to our district, the innovators that we are, we're going to have to create a new word, a new phrase to describe the way that we're preparing for our kids. And it's opportunities like this that truly set a unique pathway for our kids. Again, the stories tonight of how students were shaped by the development of patches or the development of a science experiment. But those experiences in the lives of our kids have clearly made a difference in them. So thank you for bringing opportunities like this to our students. And thank you for the continued work you do to make good things happen and bridging the gap between space and Earth on behalf of ECISD. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. And thank you, parents and community members, staff members of ECISD. It was an honor to have each of you with us tonight. And hopefully you saw this evening from the voices of our students, our staff members, and even parents tonight, the incredible work that's happening in ECISD on behalf of the 34,000 kids that we serve. Our students deserve opportunities not only to be successful here on Earth, but they now have opportunities to be successful in space as well. And these opportunities we will continue to explore, continue to expand, and continue to bring to our students as we now see the sky is no longer the limit. It is really now the next level of opportunity for kids. So on behalf of all of our employees, the 4,200 employees of ECISD, thank you to our community for the support you give to each of us so that we can do good work for kids every day. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your week next week. Whatever you happen to do and wherever you happen to go, just be safe and enjoy your family. Good night.